Hi everybody, it's Anne. Thank you so much for joining me. Wanted to talk a little bit here about attachment to spirituality and ascension. This is a topic that has been coming up and I think it's worth addressing. Hopefully this helps some people. Not everybody experiences this, but it is sometimes part of the journey as we venture down these rabbit holes and we begin to awaken on the search for knowledge. We dive into many different topics, understanding different aspects of spirituality, if you will. We'll just use that terminology lightly. I look at it more about the diving into the subject of uncovering our authentic beings, our authentic selves, of realizing and recognizing our subconscious programs and density that we have been operating on and not even realizing it, and beginning the journey of peeling back the layers. This is the self-healing journey. Super important, because that is the operating mechanism and mode we are most comfortable in. And it is a subconscious guidance system that has led us down the path to where we are today. Most of us not knowing that the drivers behind this stuff are somebody else's programs, somebody else's projections and problems, and not necessarily our own. And this can be passed down through generations and sometimes even lifetimes. So we get this attachment. I mean, it's very necessary to do this investigative work, to go through these deep, dark rabbit holes and experiences, and to start to shed the layers and understand, diving into that which we are not. And it can be very difficult sometimes to come to these revelations about learning about things about ourselves and other people in our lives that we didn't recognize before, we didn't see before. A lot of times it's just because we're too damn caught up in the narrative and the busy life to give it even any thought. This is the unconscious program of operating that we're also very used to. Sometimes, though, we are shaken, not stirred out of that, into forcing ourselves into learning about who we really are through some very difficult situations and circumstances. And that is life, really. That happens to a lot of us. That is where most of us are meant to experience this, these trials and tribulations, this awakening journey. Some have bigger lessons to learn than others. But yeah, that is where this deep dive in really begins. Now, I've talked about so many of these topics and subjects of the programs, of the neural networks, of us not even understanding the depths of the psychological manipulation that has occurred through, that we've absorbed through so many different aspects of our lives. But we also have to remember, and right now it's such a hugely powerful time. There is so much beautiful, multidimensional energy coming in. So this is where I enjoy spending the majority of my time. I'm able to do that more freely now because I've done a huge amount of inner work, of inner releasing, of understanding where I was operating on outside programming and not being my truly authentic self. This is an ongoing activity. This is something that I will be working on likely for the rest of my life. But this awareness of just being conscious of what is driving me is, wow, it has brought me to such an amazing place in my life that I wouldn't change a thing. And it's really important for us to remember the benefits of this process as we focus on here the fact that where I'm at now, after years and years of very challenging times and hardship, that I can safely say that I'm in a place of no worry, or very limited worry, whereby before I was suffering from high anxiety and PTSD. Definitely. My anxiety, I can get spurts of it still. When I get triggered a certain way from Past experiences, but I can say for the most part, I live a calm and anxiety-free life. I'm living through my highest self, following my inner guidance system and my inner knowing. I am intuitively guided to understand things about my diet and my health. I don't worry about a lot of things that I used to worry about because I recognize how short a time we are here to learn. We need to really spend our energy on those things that mean the most to us. And it is really following a conscious way of operating and living to really understand the drivers and root causes behind some of our past activities and to change ourselves, to really improve upon understanding when we and can be operating at our highest mode in our most appreciative quality, enjoying a peaceful and harmonic life for the most part. So these are all the major positive outcomes of going through this process. And to get there, though, it does require an awful lot of work. And this is where we have to really investigate and understand many different sides of ourselves. And I don't want to get into sort of the detail around that because the main message I wanted to really talk about here is when we spend too much time on board this spiritual and ascension journey where it is basically enveloped us. So it can become your identity. It is the only thing that you are driven to is to lead a, quote, spiritual life and to really hang your hat on ascension symptoms and all the aspects that go on with that. And I'm not saying this isn't an important part of the journey because ascension symptoms are what we kind of start with to help us understand something major is changing and happening. It's major phases of release that come through us physically and change our bodies, that make us realize that we are experiencing and feeling and shifting and changing, and we can tell we feel different. So it is an important guidance system. But when we have an attachment to either of these two things too strongly, and when we lose that whole identity with our life here in this mode on this earth right now, with our mission in life to be happy and peaceful, to accomplish things, to challenge ourselves, to move out of comfort zones, to try new things, to create our new sense of self based on our new belief systems now that the layers have been shed. When we lose sight of that whole mission, we can get so caught up in daily research and trying to read more and more and more rather than mastering those things we have done the research on. It can lead us down into this spiral of endless attachment to ascension, to not feeling good, to the symptoms around it, to understanding why one might have a headache today and maybe a ringing ear tomorrow. We have to sort of pull out of that sometimes and just live our lives. Really, it is a balance of those two things, and it's really important to remember and to recognize and see yourself when you're getting too caught up in the process and not enough in the actual living your own life of experiencing the world outside of the journey of ascension, of letting go of your idea of I'm reaching and racing towards enlightenment, towards ascending, and more towards actually living the life of being ascended or having self-awareness, of knowledge, of being conscious, and really working on those skills on a daily basis. And the best way to learn that is just to put yourself in situations that really aren't all that comfortable. So often we move back into our comfort zones, and I can tell this by looking at someone's chart where they're going to feel more comfortable and where they fall back to when really a lot of what they're here to learn in this lifetime through their North Node is to move out of their comfort zone and stretching themselves into areas that don't feel comfortable. Those are the areas we need to learn and lean into more to get the most out of life and to fulfill us and find new ways to find and generate excitement and exhilaration of things that we never thought possible before. So, the key message here is to really watch when you're spending and diving too much into the process. Again, this whole thing in every aspect is about balance in all areas, moving into and out of energy that is working for you or against you. But in particular, too, I want to talk about when we get too attached to ascension symptoms, to following every single tool on the internet every single day to tell us how we're feeling, to excusing our behavior because of ascension. And it's very important, based on my experience, to keep moving in the direction of your dreams. If you're having health issues, to visualize and feel yourself as healthy, regardless of how you feel today, to really envision yourself being the person you want to be, not as an ascension master, but as an individual engaging in life with your friends and your family and doing that which you have passion and enjoyment for. So it's important to remember that you are not the journey. You are creating your reality. You are creating, through these lovely energies coming through, everything coming into your life. So what you're focusing on, you're attracting. So if you're focusing on feeling bad, if you're complaining about not feeling well, if you're complaining about aches and pains, we know they exist and we know they're there, and I have them, and I have experienced a lot of symptoms, have over the years. I just don't talk about it because I don't want to give it energy. I'm also very acutely aware of all the amazing positive energy coming in, all the amazing signs and signals, how we're getting more and more powerful in our ability to create our own reality once we keep shedding these layers and be open to understanding. So a lot of people are on this precipice of change right now, is allowing yourself just to release from the process. And I say when I do my videos, keep going. That doesn't necessarily mean to keep digging further and further and further into more and more layers of videos and YouTube channels and books. What it really means is to really move yourself into action out of where you are now through uncomfortable steps to get you where you really want to be. And you will be absolutely amazed by that. Number one thing is that the voice in our head is going to hold us back and say, you can't do it. You need to sleep more. Moving is the number one thing. You need to always be active. I have a dog. I get out at least twice a day. It's the best thing to do ever. He forces me out the door. But being outside connected, getting away from the headspace is so super important. To take action, to just do little things. These are all really important steps, though, that start to create your life on a bigger and bigger and bigger scale. So keeping active is very, very important here. We are in a very powerful time, folks. The energies are super, super intense. We're going to be feeling the symptoms, but at the same time, non-attachment, surrender, please surrender to the process. Yes, they're there, but we can still work with them. They don't have to run our lives. And it is to your best interest just to keep moving on with creating that version of you and practicing that at all times, whenever you can. And it is very powerful, just that tool in itself. So if you're feeling, just inundated these symptoms, just allow yourself to let go of it. Allow yourself to let go of the process, to walk away from this need to constantly be working on yourself, and to flow a little bit more through daily life, to find things that you love doing, to remember to remain conscious of as you move through these things. But you don't have to sit there working away every day in front of a computer by any means. That is definitely not what I mean by keep working at it. What I mean by keep working at it really is just to remain consciously aware of where your thoughts are going and moving them into a more positive space, building that new neural network for yourself. That is the work. So just a quick little one here on that topic. Hope this helps someone out there. Thanks very much, guys. We'll talk soon. Bye.